Hi, everyone. This is Alexis Tandy with the WhipSB, and I am here with my coworker Bailey and Megan Turley, who is the second district independent redistricting commissioner. And she is going to take us through how to draw a map today. So this is hugely important. I'm not sure if everybody knows what redistricting really is. We did the Sunday survey last night, and I would say it was 50-50. People, the general takeaways are that people don't think it's going to affect them that much. They don't know what it touches. They think it only touches either public health or wildfire or one singular issue. And the answer was actually all the above. So let's begin there. Megan, welcome. Can you explain to us what you do in a nutshell, in easy terminology, what redistricting is?
Sure. So I'm on the independent redistricting commissions for Santa Barbara County, which means that we're looking at the entirety of the county, and we're asking for the public's help in redrawing the lines for all 5 of those districts. So if you're in South County, likely you live in districts 1, 2, or 3. If you're in North County, you likely live in districts 4, 5, or 3. And redistricting is specifically, it can happen on a city scale, a county scale, larger than that as well. But what it essentially is when we do that census every 10 years, we count everybody in a specific area, and then we look at how populations have changed over the last 10 years. So are there more people in Santa Maria now than in South County? Where have people been moving to? Are there younger people? Are older people moving in? And how do we make sure that in the next 10 years, we can plan for those population changes and make sure that everybody still has representation in government on a county government level? So for redistricting the county, we're specifically looking at who are your county supervisors and where are they coming from out of the county and who are they representing? And the county everything.
Let me ask you a question. Why is this so important? This is flying under the radar, and I know the city election is totally important, and the election is coming up and everything. But what is it that we need to understand in terms of why this seriously matters?
Yeah, absolutely. So one conversation around redistricting and feedback that we've received from a lot of people is that District 3 is not representative of everybody within District 3. So right now, a large percentage of the population in District 3 is in Isla Vista. It's UCSB students. And then we're also including places like Guadalupe, which is a small agrarian town in the north of the county. And those two populations—
Do they touch borders at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the rules of drawing the lines is that the places that are within a district need to be contiguous. So everywhere in one district is, touching another part of the district. But yeah, it is quite a ways up the coast, and it's a very, very different population. And a lot of people in Guadalupe have told us we don't really feel represented. We don't feel heard. And so one of the questions in this redistricting is, how would you draw the lines in a way where you would be included with communities that have similar issues, similar questions, similar concerns to you? And the county touches everything from, national or county lands. So if you're making a reservation for a campground, you're registering to vote. If you have anything in terms of purchasing property, you're going to need to go through the county. They do fire, water, and trash. So anything to do with the county trash collection or water treatment or things like that, that's super important. But it's even more than that. Basically, anything where you think back to anything where you kind of have needed to go through an official channel and have been touched by a county policy or procedure, you really want someone on the Board of Supervisors who is going to be able to listen to your need and hear it and say, okay, I can help you do this. And so that's the most important part, is that you want your county representative to be accessible to you, to live in your district, to understand what the issues are in your district, and to believe strongly that that they share those issues with you, that it's not something that just affects you and doesn't affect them.
Okay, so let's say a younger person living in Isla Vista. Let's say they need something, and the person in Santa Maria needs something.
Mhm.
They very possibly need two very different things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this as
Sure.
simplistic as possible.
Yeah.
It's
So
possible that the county supervisor, though they're all smart and
Mhm.
educated and accessible, it's just very hard to balance the needs of what people in Santa Maria need versus people in Isla Vista,
Yeah,
because they're totally separate needs.
that
There's
is
languages, everything.
that is absolutely some of the feedback that we've been receiving, is that the goal of this process is one person, one vote, right? That we are balancing out the population so that everybody feels like they have an equal opportunity to be represented on a county level. And unfortunately, specifically in District 3, we've gotten a lot of feedback that is just not the case. And so that's important to us. And one of the reasons why this redistricting commission is independent is that we're completely independent from special interests. We're not getting feedback from the Board of Supervisors about these lines. We are not, taking feedback specifically on political issues. We're looking for what the community wants out of this. So yes, at the end of the day, we're going to be approving the lines, but we want you to draw the lines. So at the end of this process, we will have a map that has community input, and mostly community input, on the final product. So this is why this process is what it is. And it's really a pushback against the last 20 years of pretty aggressive gerrymandering and special interests having most of the control over where the lines go, not just.
So can you explain that and drill down on that a little more? How would a special interest group affect redistricting? What are we trying to avoid?
Yes.
Is there a specific example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not sure of what a specific example in our county would be, and I don't really want to imply intention there, but gerrymandering in just a general scheme is also outlawed under the Constitution for redrawing these maps. So that's something to keep in mind, that we're really not able to consider specifically things like just race. Like, we can't draw a district that is just based entirely on race. That would be completely inappropriate. We can absolutely consider things like having a minority majority district where people who are having their votes watered down right now because their neighborhoods are being cut through 2 or 3 even districts, that we can make sure to keep those communities together so that their voting power remains strong, or that they have a majority in at least one district. And obviously that's a big issue in Santa Barbara because we are looking at a pretty significant Hispanic population, especially in North County. And, that community often does not feel represented on the Board of Supervisors. But redistricting it's only been recently that we've had independent commissions for this. So most of the time, the lines are either drawn by the supervisors, who are then getting reelected into those districts, or they're being drawn by commissions of judges. And it's like 3 people, and they draw the lines, and they don't really receive much feedback from the public. So this is a new process that is happening all over the state, all over the country, to try to walk back some of the inequality that is being caused by lines being drawn by people who are perhaps receiving money from interest groups that are getting them reelected, or are being advised by certain people who have a vested interest in where the lines go. And so we're trying to avoid the lines being drawn by a few people for everybody.
Well, let's go to the map, the redistricting map. I want to remind everyone that the link in our bio takes you right to the drawing the county map. You might have to do a couple little things to download or print your app.
Alexis, can I just quickly share my screen and show them how to do that?
Perfect. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. If
So
someone
go to draw
screen, that would be great.
SantaBarbara.com.
Yes. So the website is drawsantabarbaracounty.org. That's very important. And if one of you guys can make me co-host, that would be excellent, and I can go ahead. But basically what it looks like is you'll find our landing page, and you'll go to the Draw a Map tab. And once you're there, you have a couple of different options for how to draw a map. You can download a paper-only map, which is our first option. You can either click on Spanish or English. And there's also a reference map with the place names, because obviously, as you can see, what Alexis is holding up doesn't really have labels on it. And so it's a very clean map, but it's hard to kind of tell where everything is on that map. So if you're not super familiar with Santa Barbara County, I highly recommend either going to Google Maps and taking a look and drilling down while you're doing this, or to have that reference map. The other options are District R or Calipers, which are both kind of interactive maps. And so I think I can share my screen now. Okay. So as you can see, sorry about that. Here we go. Nope, that's not what I wanted to share. Let's try this again. Okay, so as you can see, this is where you can draw a map both on our website, or you can download a map. So if you click on paper maps here, I'm going to click on the English version. This will bring you to a map like the one that Alexis is holding up. So you can see that there are these little census blocks that have different numbers on them. And that tells you how many people are in that census block area. This guy is not really loading, but this is drilled down into District 1s and 2. But what we ideally want to do with these maps is to draw five districts within the county that have equal population. And that's the number one first thing, is that they have to have an equal population. The variance can be about 10% in total.
Do we need a calculator while we're doing this to be able to tally all these little numbers?
Good question. Yeah. So this is the problem with the paper map, is that it's a little bit more complicated. There is an Excel tool that you can use. So an Excel spreadsheet to calculate the population totals. And so here is the Excel spreadsheet. I can load this up for you guys. And this is a little complicated, right? So if you're familiar with Excel, you can use this, and it's not too hard once you figure it out, but it's a little more complicated than going online, especially if you're familiar with something like Google Maps. So here are the instructions for the Excel sheet. You'll put in the district by number. So you'll find which district this is. So there's got the population unit here, and you've got also some other interesting stats like the voting age population for each of these districts, segmented by race and ethnicity, as well as total voter registration. And then you'll go back to that map that we were just looking at, and I'll share that. And you're going to go back to the number here and put the number in the Excel sheet. The other option, which I like a little bit better, it's a little bit less.
Is there an easier option? I feel I don't have Excel on my computer.
Yeah, totally. So the easier option, which I much prefer to the paper map, is called District R. And if you're at all familiar with using like Microsoft Paint or Google Maps, this is going to be your best friend.
So is this like paint by number?
This is like paint by numbers. So you're going to go down here and you have two options. You can start with a blank map, or you can identify one community. So you can draw your whole county, or you can just draw a small part of your community. So I'm going to go to whole county just to give you an idea of what this looks like. And there's our beautiful county. And over on this right-hand side, there are a couple of different options. So we've got some basic data layers. You can take a look at things like total population. So as you can see, when I select this, it'll shade it out. The darker shades are places where there's more population. So as we can see, the majority of the population is in southern Santa Barbara City. We've got some population in Lompoc, and then quite a bit in Santa Maria as well. So Some of the things to keep in mind are that, we are governed by the rules of redistricting, which means that these districts have to be contiguous. They have to connect. They should be as compact as possible. You can't consider race a primary factor unless there are other factors backing that decision up. And then there are a couple of other things that I'm happy to go into more detail on, but there are some rules both on the federal level, the Constitution, the Federal Voting Rights Act, as well as state level, the California Voting Rights Act, and our Measure G, which created this commission.
I think that's for you, though. That's for you. I can't wrap my head around this. I just want to know what is the easiest entryway into drawing a map.
Totally. So the easiest entryway, I would say, if you're familiar with being online, is this District R software. So over here, you can select a paintbrush. The automatic color is blue. So let's go ahead and just start drawing, right? These are census blocks. So they're blocked off by a certain number of people who live there, as well as topography and geography. And as I'm selecting, you can go over to population and you can see, okay, in the blue area, I am almost up to my magic number, which is, as you can see, 89,300 people.
So that's basically taking all 5 districts, the total population, and dividing it by 5.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So we're trying to get all the different districts in Santa Barbara within 10% plus or minus to 89,300 and 0.6 of a person.
Your best friend is this lock already drawn districts button. So once I've drawn this, I can start drawing with another color and it won't overlap. So, and obviously caveat, I am not at all choosing this based on any sort of data. So
this
please
is just a demo. This is not official Santa Barbara County drawings.
So I'm just gonna start drawing again. So as you can see, I'm only drawing districts where the color that I'm using touches the other part of the color that I'm using. So, okay, so I've gone over, right? This is 117,000. So I need to go back and press my erase button and start erasing a couple of these things so I can get down to that magic number of below 89,000.
How do you, this is a stupid question. It sounds really intimidating for asking for the county to be asking everyday people to be drawing maps. How do we know if we're doing this right or wrong? Is there a wrong way to do this?
So there's certainly not a wrong way to do this if you are making sure that the population is pretty equal. So like, try not to submit maps, obviously, that have populations that are significantly under or over this 89,800 or 89,000, 3,000 per people per district. And don't submit maps that are not following the rules in terms of, the same color touching itself, or something with a significantly odd shape. But the other issue with that is that if it's a significantly odd shape, but the data makes the most sense, that's okay. So there are certainly hard and fast rules to redistricting, and you can find those on our website. There are also a lot of rules that can be bent if the map is good. So this is just kind of, I'm giving you an idea of how many. So the other thing is that with the Excel map or with the Word map or the PDF, you can see where the population is concentrated. On this map, it's a little harder because there's no numbers, right? Like, you can see where the population is based on how dark something is. But other than that, it's pretty hard to tell, okay, like now I'm already quite over over this population total. So it's nice to kind of use a couple different pieces of software at the same time to be able to really understand certain population makeups. And then if you go over to evaluation, you can see, okay, so I've drawn a district in District 1 where the population majority is Caucasian white. And that's true for districts 1, 2, and 3 in my example, as well as District 5. But in District 4, there is a Hispanic majority. So this is something to consider for Santa Barbara County is, should there be a minority majority district? And if so, where is that minority majority district going to be? So these are things to keep in mind because the overall makeup of the Board of Supervisors also matters. It's not just the makeup of each district.
Because then they elect to represent themselves, will probably be more familiar to them and speak their language. And it's overall relating to their base.
Exactly. So if we go back to this draw a map section, the other thing that's really cool that you can use to help you draw the map are things like this interactive map. And sometimes when I'm running a bunch of other stuff, this doesn't like to run very well. But this is a really, really cool tool that I've seen organizations like Cause use very, very effectively. It's a GIS tool where it overlays all of this data about Santa Barbara County.
What does GIS mean?
What was that?
What does GIS mean?
You know, I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's a tool that geographers use a lot. Basically, it maps populations over an existing map. So what you can do is choose a bunch of different options. So like, okay, let's see, percent of population with an income $75,000 or higher. That's what I want to see. Okay, so here we go. So that just mapped itself. And the colors are a little bit hard to understand, but basically what it is that the warmer colors, there's a higher population. So purples and blues and greens are going to be lower population. Oranges and reds are going to be higher population. So if you look at this base map, this is Southern Santa Barbara County. This is Solvang, Buellton, Lompoc, for example. And if we kind of just zoom out, we can see, okay, so we've got a higher population of people who have an income level of $75,000 or more here, as well as down in the southern part of Santa Barbara County. Then we can switch that out and go percent who speak Spanish in the home. Okay, so now again, this is a much smaller percentage overall in the district. You can see these purples and blues are much larger, but in the city of Santa Maria in particular, that's where you're seeing a lot of that population, right? City of Guadalupe, a lot of Spanish speakers in the home, right? And so if we're drawing a map, we have to ask ourselves, what are the populations that are very, very important to include together in one district? And a lot of people have given us the feedback that, you know, when there's populations where there's a lot of Spanish being spoken in the home, you know, those populations might really benefit from all being together in one district and having multiple advocates for their needs, right? So things like that. So this is a really nice tool to use in conjunction with District R or in conjunction with your Excel sheet to really understand where those communities of interest are. And that's a big one in considering, you know, where to draw those maps is who is living together geographically and why is it important to make sure that those people are represented.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we are at drawSantaBarbaraCounty.org.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we need.
And I'm trying to look on our website about where these rules for map drawing are, because they are, so here we go. So this is number one, equal population, prohibition on racial gerrymandering. That's the biggest one. And then we've got these, all parts of the district are connected by more than just a point. The geographic integrity of neighborhoods are respected. These communities of interest who have similar issues and needs are respected. Cities and census designated places, we'll try to make sure to keep those together. That the boundaries are easily identifiable. So maybe we're drawing two districts on either side of the 101 or two districts on either side of the mountain range, or, you know, who takes the 154 to commute to work every day? Is that important to keep in the same district? So that's some things that we're thinking about. And then compactness. So not bypassing one group of people to reach another group of people. and being sure that these territories are cohesive and make sense in a larger district. So those are some of the rules. But every map that is submitted, our demographers will look at it and format it and analyze it to be sure that it's within these constitutional and other federal and state requirements.
Okay, so then let's say everybody submits these maps.
Mhm.
Then you guys meet as a commission. Hope the date is what, October 14th for the submission of the maps?
So the first kind of rolling deadline is October 18th for map submission. But know that, if you submit the best map out there, we're not going to not say yes to it if you submit it after October 18th. But we do need to give our demographers time to analyze these maps for legality. So the sooner you can get a map in, the better. And then not in November, early November, we're going to take a look at those maps at a public hearing, and we're going to try to narrow it down to 3 to 5 of the best maps that incorporate the most feedback from the community and are most legally defensible. And then once we're there, we're going to community feedback, hopefully, about whether these maps are reflective of communities and people's ideas of what the district should look like. And then we're going to narrow it down until hopefully on December 15th, we will have a final approved map to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to adopt.
So then how does that affect the current makeup of the county supervisors for the next election or immediately?
Yes, so we have to, the reason why this deadline is so tight is because we just got the census data a week ago. And we need to draw the lines by December 15th because the primaries for those Board of Supervisors elections, not all of them are running, but some of them are up for re-election, will be in, I believe, June. And then we'll have a November election next year for our Board of Supervisors. So we have to make sure that we're informing our current board members, as well as anybody who's interested in running, which district they would be running for, because you have to run for the district where you live. So, yeah.
I know the first district just had it last year. So which districts are up for re-election for next year?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
And we're not involved at all with the election process or the Board of Supervisors. It's for us, we're completely independent from that process. Yeah.
Can you just speak for a minute to everybody? Just tell them, from a member of the commissioner like yourself, who is accessible and really easy to talk to.
Yeah.
Just ask them directly to please get involved and participate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I know that this is complicated. And so the first thing is, please don't get scared away. I'm absolutely happy to help you draw a map. There are also a lot of other people in the community who are very, very happy to help you draw a map. So if you are stumped by this, if you are intimidated, please reach out. You can reach out to us on our website. We have a contact form, and you can email us at any point in time and we'll get back to you. We also have an upcoming meeting on October 6th. You can join by Zoom and ask us questions there. You can also come in person, and this one will be at the Betaravia Hall in Santa Maria. So number one is, we exist for you. We exist for the
community. It's an in-person meeting. It's not over Zoom.
Both an in-person component and Zoom. So you can join in person or over Zoom.
How do they get the Zoom information?
Yes. So if you go onto our website at drawsantabarbaracounty.org, you can go to the calendar and agenda portion of our website, and there will be an option for a Zoom link as well as to view the agenda for next week. They're usually uploaded 3 days before the meeting. So our next one will be October 6th at 6 p.m. And it's very easy to submit public comment. If you're feeling a little bit camera shy, you do not have to ask a question at a public meeting. You can always email us as well. But the most important thing is that you tell us what is important to you in the community and what's important to keep together. So you don't necessarily have to draw a map. You can come to our meeting and give feedback on the maps that are being submitted. But drawing a map is one of the surest ways to get your whole idea of what the district should look like on paper. And then the other aspect of it is, you don't necessarily need to draw all 5 districts. You can just draw one district and say, this is the district I'm in, and this means the most to me. And as long as you make sure to explain that when you submit the map, the most important thing is to add comments to your map submission and say, this is why I chose to put the lines here, here, and here. These are the issues that matter most for me. And that way we can plan accordingly. So most importantly about this process is we do not want to be drawing the lines. We want you to be drawing the lines. And basically I'm asking for you, to think seriously about this, because these lines are going to be in place for the next 10 years. And so they're not going to change until 2030. So this is a super, super important process.
Yeah.
And
The only way to get the local political machine going and things, this is the fundamental part of getting your voice heard, because if the districts aren't set to the way you like them, you can't elect a leader, a supervisor who will pass laws, and not laws, but policy that supports the issues that you are passionate about.
Exactly. So if you don't get involved,
it doesn't matter how active you are after this point.
Exactly.
You have to be in the right district and elect the right officials to be able to be part of the creating policy in your area.
To give you an example of why this matters, imagine that you live in a neighborhood and the lines get drawn through your neighborhood. So imagine that your neighbor is a fantastic human being and knows a lot about city policy, and they want to run for the board of supervisors for the county. If the line divides you two, that person can't represent you. So if you live in a neighborhood, if you live next to a park and the person that you want to represent you lives across from the park, things like that. So we can't draw lines, obviously, to favor any political candidate depending on where they live. But think about the people who you would want to represent you, the people who know most about your neighborhood. You want to keep those people together in one district.
And informing local policy around public health. I mean,
Exactly.
Whoever is representing your district, this is hot right now, whoever is representing your district in deciding mandates for COVID and Delta and all these things, if you don't have the person representing you that supports your ideas and what you want to see reflected back to you in the community, then this is it right here. This is so important.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know, when I initially applied to be a commissioner, I was even very confused about the redistricting process and what it was. But as I've learned more about this, first of all, I've learned so much about how local government works. And it's actually really exciting that there are so many people on this commission who are really, really optimistic about this process, and that everybody on the commission is really, truly there to make a difference in the community. And there's absolutely no sort of shenanigans about special interests or any sort of, dark motives. Like, we're all really truly here to make sure that people's voices are heard. And that's such an exciting thing, because I don't think that often is a feeling that people have when they are involved in local government. Sometimes it just feels slow and bureaucratic, and there are absolutely aspects of that to this. But what I will say is that in terms of bang for your buck, in terms of the potential for influence for local community members who truly have their best community's interests in mind, this is so much more influential even than voting. And this affects how effective and influential. This affects how influential your vote is. So ideally, this process is going to make it so that each person gets an equal power in their vote. And so if you have the option to help make sure that those lines are drawn, that's an incredible both responsibility and an incredible privilege that we all get to do in this county. So yeah, I really encourage you to get involved in whatever way you can.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us and explaining this all to us. And if we have any other questions, we'll definitely reach out.
Yes, and please follow our redistricting account as well. We will have postings for all public meetings, and you can always send us questions there as well.
Yep, that's SBC Redistricting. That's the handle on Instagram. So yes, definitely
SBC.redistricting.
Let me see. SBC.redistricting.
Yes.
Follow them. at least till the end of the year, so you know
Yes,
what's going
please.
on. At least to the end of the year.
I promise that we will not bother you after December 15th.
Oh my God. Well, thank you, Megan. We really appreciate it. And we will catch up soon.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot.